What's going on, everybody? It's Josh, aka the Muslim Muscle, with a Next Up podcast, and my boy.
Cousin Creamy coming at you. Hey, Dan.
Ooh, hey. All right, so we're gonna get into this quick because we have a nice topic today. It is top 10 gym myths, and we're gonna debunk them, break them down a little bit. So we're gonna start with number one. Me and Colin both have the list. So number one, lifting heavy makes you bulky. Um, especially in women. I'm going to just put it like this. We have all seen power lifters who don't look like they lift weights. I see it on a daily basis at Ultimate. I see guys turn around. I mean, we have a dude who comes in and benches 700 pounds. Shout out Joe Tumbarello. He looks like he benches that much. Then we got guys who come in and deadlift 500 who look like they'd never touched a weight before in their life. So we could just knock that down to that. And then also my favorite is like when a woman turns around and goes, I don't want to lift weights. It's going to make me look like a bodybuilder. I don't want to look like Ronnie Coleman. And it's like, you know how goddamn hard it is to look like Ronnie Coleman? I've dedicated the last 5 years of my life to looking like Ronnie Coleman. I'm not even close. It was like, you all of a sudden are just going to blow up with your 30 grams of protein that you eat a day? No, that's not going to happen, hon. I promise. So that's my own little spiel. We're starting off on a rant early.
I
So,
mean, it's true though. There's so many times I run into people, especially at the club that I work at. All the women are like, "Oh, I don't want to get bulky." I'm like, "Bitch, you're fucking 39 years old. You're a gonadal. Trust me, sweetheart. The last thing you're gonna do is get bulky." And
it's
it's
like, I
just
tried.
that's the thing. Like through personal training and shit like that, and even like online coaching, there's all times like I just want to get toned. I don't want to get bulky. It's like, eh. Sweetheart, it ain't gonna work because, like you said, I've been going at this for 5 years. I'm still a skinny little bitch. I'm on drugs. You're natural, and you have negative testosterone in your body, or at least extremely minimum.
Mhm.
And trust me, it's not gonna happen. It just doesn't work like that overnight. And I can promise you, you dedicate the next 80 years of your life to lifting, you're not gonna look bulky. But it's to like go off your point, even powerlifters. There's some powerlifters in my gym where I'm like, who's this little fucking Sarm goblin? Then all of a sudden he's like squatting fucking 405, and I'm like, dude, you could barely fucking carry your own weight coming into the gym, and then you're throwing that shit around. And it's
Yeah.
just again, it's the looks are deceiving. Again, it goes into muscular strength doesn't always represent muscular size, but that also comes with, tendon strength, ligament strength, all that kinds of stuff. It's there's so much from anything that's going on under the hood that it really just it doesn't correlate if you just genetically are not going to be putting on that much muscle at a timely fashion. You can get strong as fuck, but it don't mean dick. Really because I'm sorry, there's people who are much stronger than I am, who are a lot lighter than I am, a lot skinnier than I am, but two different goals in mind. If I wanted to be a powerlifter, oh yeah, I get strong as shit. But I could give a shit, or could the judges give a shit about how strong you are on stage? So I could care less. I just look like I'm strong, but I'm not actually strong.
Also, I think it comes down to the fact of defining what heavy is.
True.
Heavy, in my opinion, is something that you could do for one to like five-ish reps, maybe six. Um, but if you're lifting like that, you're realistically staying away from like a hypertrophy range per se, and
Yep.
therefore just going to be building strength anyway. So if you're considering like a 6 to 8 or a 6 to 10 as heavy, it's not exactly heavy because if you could do 10 reps of something, I'm saying it's not heavy.
No.
Like heavy is lifting a fridge and being able to move it 3 steps because you just can't move it any further without dying. So
Yeah.
we'll move on to the next one. The next one is sweating more equals burning more fat. We have all heard the sweat is fat leaving the body or sweat is fat crying, like
Yeah.
all those little things. Now, there is some version of merit to like thermogenesis. If something's warmer, it can burn more fat. But realistically, that's going to come from, and I forget which way it goes, but turning white to brown or brown to white adipose tissue.
Brown or
And
white.
that brown to white, so then it becomes more metabolically active, therefore it could burn a little bit faster. But like if that was the case, if sweating more was burning more fat, all we would have to do is sit in a sauna.
Yeah. No, 100%. And even to kind of piggyback off of that, I don't mean to cut you off here, but the people who sit in the sauna thinking they're melting sweat away. More times than not, although like 90% of the population goes in there thinking right after the workout, I'm gonna go to the sauna, sweat more, burn more calories. It's like it doesn't work like that. More times than not, when you go into a sauna, the guys who are sitting in there are fucking miserable. And I'm like, all things considered, saunas and like cold plunges, like these are looked at to be, recovery modalities, but at the same time, if you're miserable, you're doing no good for yourself. If you're sitting in there and you're fucking just like just fucking breathing like an ogre, sweating your ass off, miserable, the amount of stress and cortisol building up in your body is disgusting. But like the people who do it and can like genuinely enjoy it, by all means, go with God, do your thing. It's great for you. But for those who do it for said reason, besides a relaxation or people go in there and meditate, whatever you do, if you do it for any other reason besides that, it's fucking pointless.
And there is the idea of like the oxygen consumption, being able to oxidize fat, this, that, and the third, but like it's so minimal that it's not going to actually make that big of a difference.
Yeah,
You
it's
just you're missing the forest for the trees type of thing there. So realistically, calorie deficit is going to be your best way. And we'll get into that further. So I think that my headphones just disconnected for whatever reason. Awesome.
damn.
Nope, we're good. We are good. All right. So next, this one's an interesting one. If you stop training, muscle turns into fat. So we can get into the biology, the chemistry of this. Muscle is comprised of amino acids. The thing that makes an amino acid special compared to a carbohydrate or a fat molecule is that it has a nitrogen atom attached to it. Hence urea, hence uric acid, all of those things. But you can't change chemistry. I mean, you can, but like we ain't doing that. So the idea of like protein turning into fat is just a fallacy from a chemical standpoint. There is no nitrogen atom attached to a fat molecule. So therefore, what are you doing with that nitrogen atom? So that's that one we can keep pretty simple. We don't really need to get into deeper than that. But like also the idea of muscle memory. Look at Kevin LeBron. I know that he's a super special case, but like he turns around, he doesn't train for 6 months. He starts to look like a little chubby. He's not in shape. All of a sudden, 6 months later, he's a freak because he already was a freak in the past.
Well, that was
Hyper
like
responding.
it's someone recently. I just saw it. Open bodybuilder. He's like six
So
he's Crizzo, yes. Because when he fucking he had surgery on his arm and he shrank. Like it was like a Kevin Levrone situation where he just didn't train, couldn't train, etc., whatever, and he shrank. Just looked like a little kind of not even skinny fat, just looked a little chubby, kind of a dad bod situation. And right now he's like 7 weeks out from the the Pittsburgh Pro, and he looks the biggest he's ever looked. He looks the freakiest he's ever looked. It's the same thing. It's the muscle memory. It's like, yeah, sure, he might have atrophied in the time of which he was recovering, but in the matter of 5 months, the guy's put on what he lost and more. And it's just a matter like it. I don't know. It's just fucking ridiculous.
yeah, and we can even go back to this when it comes to like the muscle turning into fat. Is the idea of recomping. So like that's where the fallacy I think really comes into play is where people say, "Oh, I'm recomping. I'm losing fat and gaining muscle at the same time. I'm turning fat into muscle," or therefore the inverse, turning muscle into fat. But realistically, how that system kind of works is that fat you're eating in either maintenance or a calorie or a slight calorie deficit. Your fat is here, your muscle mass is here. You are utilizing your fat as energy to be able to recover and build muscle. So they work on opposite systems in tandem with each other. Again, can't change molecules. You also can't get rid of fat cells. They either grow or shrink or multiply, but you can't get rid of them unless you get lipo. But we're not advocating lipo unless you do it in your garage with a vacuum. Um, Next, DOMS aka delayed onset muscle soreness. means a good workout. DOMS comes from a novel stimulus. So if you were to just change your workout that day, change the order of your exercises, be stronger at a certain point. Let's say you always start with an incline chest press, and now today you're starting with a dip. You're going to most likely be sore just from the aspect of you changed up the movement pattern. You put more energy, or when you had more energy, you went into a workout and were able to do more weight or get a closer proximity to failure, or just train with more intensity, be in the muscle longer, blah, 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 blah. All that fun stuff. But DOMS does not actually make for a good workout. It is an indicator that you did some sort of muscular damage, which then can lead to a good workout, but you don't need to. Let's be real. When you're on some special supplements and you're training the same way at the same intensity for a long time, you pretty much don't get sore.
Yeah.
You might get sore in like a bigger muscle group that you just absolutely abused, but like I can walk out of a couple leg days a year and not have any sort of feeling of like DOMS. My legs are tired, they feel fatigued, but like they're not. I don't have any DOMS. My knees might hurt. My knees might not hurt. And if they don't hurt, I almost feel like I could have trained legs again that day, other than the fact that they were tired. Next day, if you got to do cardio, you got to go on the stairs, whatever it may be, you might be absolutely screwed. But like, you don't need DOMS to ensure that you had a good workout. It's more so a matter of, progression, progressive overload, making sure that you're placing more muscular or more tension on the muscle.
Yeah. And it also comes down to a lot of the times people will be like, "Oh, my shoulders never get sore, or like my arms never get sore," but whenever I train back or when I train legs, it's sore as shit for like 3, 4 days. It's like, yeah, you also have to understand it's a much bigger muscle group. You're doing an immense amount of damage over a huge portion of your body, and at that point, your body's going to have a lot more time, or it's going to need a lot more time to recover. More times than not, a lot of the people who like you can see people training like lateral delts on every single training day they go in. More times than not, if it's fucking recovered, it could probably recover. If you're doing like 4 working sets a day for the same, for an instance, like I'm just gonna kind of spit this one out there. John Jewett, he's a huge advocate for always hitting lateral delts. You can never have big enough delts. But the thing about it is, if they can recover, it's a small enough muscle group in which that it can recover in a timely manner. Where okay, it might be sore the day after, but that next day you're fresh, like you're ready to go and you're ready to fucking hit it again. If they're not sore, go after it. You might as well. It's the whole concept of needing specifically the amount of time off that you need between muscle groups. If you're not sore, if you are truly not sore, and you know you're fully recovered, you're fresh, and you can attack it as hard, if not harder than you did the last time, train it. It's fine. But again, if you're like going in for a leg day and you're experiencing DOMs or it's gonna happen. It's a bigger muscle group. So it's no matter what, you're gonna need more time to recover it anyways. But like you said, DOMs in and itself don't really necessarily show that, it's means that it's a good workout and or growing more muscle because I'm sorry, most of my leg days, as fucking ridiculous as it sounds, one out of every I usually get really bad DOMs once a month with my leg days, and my legs are the most overpowering body part in my entire fucking body. So it's like if I wanted to say that it was either it deemed a good workout or it's I'm working out properly to build muscle. Look at my fucking legs; they are and fucking crowd stopper compared to the rest of my physique. I get sore once a month from doing legs. It is what it is, but you know, it just doesn't deem whether a good workout and or more muscle growth.
This also kind of ties into the next one too. If your recovery is on point, you shouldn't exactly be getting sore. If you're doing all the little things to make sure that your recovery is in a good spot. So, like the next one would be you need supplements to make progress. Relatively, I'm going to say relatively because like you probably can't eat enough red meat in a day to get 5 grams of creatine. And our bodybuilding style diets kind of lack magnesium. And if you live in a place where you can't get the sun, like your vitamin D3 is going to be low. So like there are certain supplements that you should be taking just from a health perspective. But realistically, like you don't need a citrulline powder to make sure you get a pump to make progress. You probably need carbs and salt and water.
Yeah.
So like Supplements, again, this is a relatively quick one. If you turn around and you're relying on supplements to make product progress, what happens if you lose your job? What happens if you go broke? Are you still just not going to make progress? Now, we could even say super supplements. If you can't grow in a health phase, then you don't train hard enough. You don't eat well enough. You're missing on a lot of other factors that, oh, I can only grow when I've got, high test, or I can only grow when I got DECA in. It's like, no, 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 you're doing something else very, very wrong to be in that position. So,
And a quick little 30-second rant, not naming names because, I was working with someone and it was just push gear, push gear, push gear, push gear. And I'm like, why? And it's like, I'm all for, but like I want to hear like the flip side. Why do you feel like this is necessary? And to your point, I feel like I make the most progress when blah blah blah. If you make the most progress when you're on, say, a maximum amount of super supplements, at that point in time, your focal points are completely off because like you said, if you can't grow in a health phase when you're already physiologically elevated, I'm sorry, it makes no sense to me because all you're going to do is put a detriment to your health just for the sake of gram loading. It makes no sense whatsoever for the people who think, "Oh, I make the most in my blasts and not in just in my cruises." I'm sorry, you're still at a physiological level compared to a normal human being. You're not putting in the effort. You're putting in the effort when you want to because you see that load. You're like, "Oh, I got to fucking utilize it." But I'm sorry, gear only goes so far. If you're in a growing phase and you're eating 2,000 calories because you can't get food in, I'm not hungry. Stop being a bitch. Pick up the fork because the food is going to do more than gear. The gear is going to help supplement everything. But I'm sorry, if you're not eating enough food, you're not going to fucking grow. There's not going to be enough nutrients coming to your body to recover and build more. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's my little fucking spiel. I digress.
if you're struggling to eat, here's my little tips.
Stop being a bitch.
That's one.
Sorry.
My second one is probably cut your caffeine, move more, and most importantly, if you're really, really, really struggling with food, olive oil and honey are going to become your best friends.
I
They
was about to
are,
say liquid calories.
yeah, it's same idea. Like dense, dense calories in small volumes. You can legitimately take like, I don't really want to drop a brand here, but like super carb and put a small amount of water and make it into like a gel consistency or like those like go packs. And just do it like that. If you're really struggling that hard, like it won't be a lot of volume. You could sit it down and like you add some peanut butter to it, you add a little bit of whey protein to it, and all of a sudden you just ate like 600 calories in a bowl that might have this much food in it. So
Yeah, it's yeah, whatever. Before I keep this fucking going.
my favorite one and one of the greatest movies ever is Pain and Gain, but this one is No Pain, No Gain. Um, I always say this, you don't train through pain. If there is a legitimate pain, sharp shooting, like that's how I classify pain is like you feel a trigger point, you feel a sharp shooting pain, um, then no, you should not train through that. Now, if you have pain in a muscle, and I'm gonna say pain in a muscle from origin to insertion. So if you're sitting there and your chest is pumped up and it feels like hell, it hurts. You feel it starting towards the center of your chest, even if it's like out on the side a little bit and it goes across, you're probably fine. Now, if you sit there and you feel a pain in your chest and you look in the mirror and your chest is all the way up in your shoulder, then like that's a different story, or your chest is all the way up. I forget which way, turn around and rip. But either way, if that happens, that's a completely different story. But in generalities, pain is going to not be a precursor to gaining. It's more so going to be a, hey, you're doing something wrong. You're going to actually injure yourself. Once you're actually injured, guess what? You ain't making progress anyway. So,
Yeah, no, trust me. That was like when I fucking hurt my back. It was the same shit. It's like I took a fucking week off, and it's like I was in a growing phase and I had to take a week off because I was in so much pain. And it's it's the people who are like, oh, don't be a pussy, go and train. It's like I'm gonna do and inflict way more damage on my like fucking structural, skeletal fucking system than I am on my muscular system. So it's like I'm good with taking a week off. Yeah, sure, I dropped a couple pounds, but guess what? I ate my meals, throwing a couple free meals here and there, boom, weight's back up, and I'm fucking moving on, healthy as ever. Because again, for all the precautions that I took, I'm back now, fucking full tilt, doing what I have to do. But that's just because I wasn't an asshole. And there's so many people who are like, oh, I like for their mental sake, they want to be in the gym. They say that that's great. Going to the gym, do cardio, stretch, mobility work, and it's something that people do not do enough is mobility work. I did more mobility work in a month than I have in the last 3 or 4 years, and it has helped me just progress even further because even to this day, I'm still doing mobility work because of how much it helped me. Because thankfully, it wasn't anything with like a bulging disc or anything. It was most like muscular. But again, it's tight muscles in my body just bound the fuck up. This isn't saying go get body work. This is just doing your own thing, rolling out lacrosse ball, finding anything that's just going to help you progress. That's, I'm sorry, free. Because if you go to your gym, I guess if you want to pay for your gym, whatever, but they have rollers. What the fuck are those things called? Foam
Home
rollers.
rollers?
Retarded this morning. Foam rollers. Most people have turf. Just something to work on some sort of mobility when it's from, toes to fucking head. Anything that you can do to help your mobility is going to make you a much healthier and much more successful bodybuilder, lifter, gym advocate, whatever you want to call it. I just feel at least at some point every single day, somebody should work up, do some mobility work. It's going to make you feel better. You will be not in pain throughout the day. And it's going to help recovery so much more because you're not going to be bound the fuck up.
Facts. Now, as somebody who I almost feel like a hypocrite on this one because like I have complained about my knee and my elbow hurting for long periods of time. But the reason personally, I know the issue that I'm experiencing. I can work around those issues and be okay. And also specifically for me with my knee is structurally reconstructed. I had ACL surgery. There's a bone screw in my knee. If it hurts, I'm not exactly worried about it because it always kind of hurts. It's always hurt pretty much since 2017 when I tore it. So that pain didn't exactly ever go away. There's times where it's better than it's not. But if I did a little bit more mobility work, I'm sure that it would be fantastic. So we'll move on to the next one, which is carbs make you fat. But we're even going to go a little bit deeper because I think we've said multiple times that like carbs don't make you fat. Calorie surplus is what makes you fat. Um, but realistically, carbs after a certain period of time. So like I've heard, carbs after 6, carbs after 8, carbs after, noon. If you have carbs, they're not going to make you fat. It's more about how many calories you're inputting versus how many calories you're outputting. And your total calorie number, realistically, here's some free game for those who might be watching this. Uh, put your protein at around about your body weight, put your fats anywhere from 50 to 60, and then fill the rest of your calorie needs with carbs. Pretty simple. But if you do that, you're not going to get fat just because you ate 150 grams of cereal at night. You're going to get fat because you didn't do anything with it. You didn't
Yeah.
turn around and work it off at any point in the day. You did not create a net calorie deficit to actually need those. And if you're in a growing phase, you're eating a little bit more, you still have to create some version of a deficit throughout the day in order for those calories to be needed. Otherwise, maintenance would be a surplus. So,
Yeah. And especially when it comes to, especially having carbs, because you'll hear a lot of people who do like keto who actually do keto, not just say they do keto. Fucking put that one out there because the people who actually follow keto and put their body in ketosis and do it the right way. I mean, yeah, their energy dips, but again, your main energy source throughout the day is going to be carbohydrates. But also with that saying, you also see a lot of the times, specifically with the coaches that I've worked with, what I do specifically, A majority of your carbs are going to be surfaced around, not a majority, but a higher amount of carbs are going to be put around your workout. So pre and post workout, one for performance and secondly for recovery. But it's having enough carbs to, again, supplement the workout and then at the same time help you recover from what you just did, inflicted the damage within your muscles in the gym and be able to recover from it post workout. Again, everyone has their own little philosophy on it. It's just a matter that, like for me right now, I'm in a prep. I still have 150 grams of cereal post workout. People are like, "You're eating cereal in a prep? That makes no sense. Sugar, this, that, the other." Guess what, fucker? It's carbohydrates at the end of the day. It could be coming from rice. It could be coming from potato. It could be coming from Twinkies. It's a carb's a carb. Yes, if you want to get into the real what's the value, nutritional value of each one and the other? Cool, great, fantastic. All I see is the number on the screen. All I see is the calories coming in, going out. And guess what? I'm down 15 pounds in the whatever, however many weeks I've been doing my prep so far.
Must be
So
nice.
kick rocks. But it's just it kills me because that's all you hear is the oh, I don't eat carbs anymore. Or like I don't eat carbs after 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. or whatever. And it's just like I especially when at my job where I hear shit like that, I'm just like I bite my tongue because all I'm gonna do is go on a fucking rant for the last thing is that these rich people don't want to fucking hear. And I'm like, all right, whatever. But it's just like most of the time, people like that can't really break through the wall, and you kind of just to each their own. Just let them do their thing, let them be miserable at after 6 p.m. if they're really following that whole no carb thing, and just get on with their life.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna speed through these last three because we only got like 5 minutes left. So you should
Heard.
stretch before lifting weights. Cardio is the best way to lose fat. The anabolic window closes 30 minutes after training. All right, so first one, you should stretch before lifting weights. We have a
Dynamically.
thing called we have a thing called active range of motion. We have a thing called passive range of motion. If you start to lean tissues and increase your passive range of motion, that's not a range of motion that you can activate. You then load that. You're asking for an injury in the long term. So realistically, you can put yourself in a worse position. Also, just getting to more range of motion that you don't actually have access to is not going to be better for you if you can't control the weight in that aspect. These are the people who bottom out a hack squat. These are the people who bottom out a leg press and bounce it off the stoppers. You see it all the time in the gym. Doesn't mean it's right. Full ROM does not exactly mean that you're doing better if you can't actively control it. Again, we go back to John Jewett. They did a incline press video where John Jewett could only get to about here on the incline press. His chest is here. The bar can only get to here. Why is he trying to sink this all the way down? If he can't go there, there's no point in loading that tissue there. Next, cardio is the best way to lose fat. I'm going to run through these and then you could have cardio is not the best way to lose fat. Calorie deficit is. That's simple. Can cardio help with the calorie deficit? Yes,
Mhm.
because you're burning more calories. And realistically, why I personally like telling people to do cardio is because it stops them from eating. You're not going to eat
Facts.
while doing cardio, right? So, hey, here's 30 minutes out of your day that you need to turn around and do cardio, and you're not going to be able to eat during that time. Figure out something else to do. Find an anime, find something to watch. And then lastly, the anabolic window closes 30 minutes after training. Again, calories in, calories out. Is there a time that we are more capable of uptaking glycogen? Yes. Is it that strict that it's 30 minutes? No, I'm pretty sure it's like 2.5 hours. Muscle
Yeah.
protein synthesis is elevated for 24 to 48 hours after a training session. So it's not that important to turn around and just blast food in. You're pretty much going to be okay. So, with that said, Colin, you can go back on those 3 points and also sign us out afterwards. So,
Yeah, the stretching before lifting weights, I always kind of give people this little picture. Take a cold rubber band and stretch the fuck out of it. What happens? Snaps. Just like a muscle. A lot of the times I see people static stretching a lot of the times before. Even when I was personal training, everybody thought, static stretching. It's stupid. Your body's not warm, your blood's not flowing. You want to come in there at 5 a.m. and start a workout, or you want to start stretching. You start doing the fucking, hands to the floor, stretching out your hamstrings and shit. Next thing you know, pop. There you go. There goes your fucking hamstring. A little bit excessive to think of it in that picture, but realistically speaking, a cold rubber band super stretched out, it's gonna snap. Your muscles, treat them like rubber bands. If you're cold and you try and just load it and or stretch or anything of that nature, you could, severely hurt yourself or tweak something or create something that just undeniably so at the, couple weeks time, you could start injuring it just because you're doing more damage by thinking you're doing good. Um, Cardio, best way to lose fat. You said it the best. It's calorie deficit. Cardio is more so a supplement into losing weight. It helps you create an even further deficit due to the fact that you're being spending more calories, just like a workout. But with that said, cardio is a great tool just for the sake that you're not eating. The fork is not moving from your plate to your mouth, and it gets your mind off of food for a bit for those who are more food focused. So I will definitely sit by that one. It'll really just again it's whatever. I have a minute. um, the anabolic window closes 30 minutes after training. Like you said, it's yeah, like you said, 2.5, 3 hours, something of that nature. But the need to, bring a protein shake with you to the gym and as you're leaving the gym, like drinking it and be like, oh, I hit my anabolic window. It's really not that fucking deep. Even if you have a 30-minute drive home, you'll be fine. You might get a little hangry on the way home, depending on what part of the season or whatever the fuck you're trying to do, whether it's cutting bulk and whatever the case may be. It's not that big of a deal, especially if you're in a surplus. You have so much fucking nutrients in your body, you'll be fine. But with that said, a little bit of a rush today, but me and him were yapping a little bit before this, so you know how it goes.
It
But
works.
anyways, it has been yet another Next Up podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. Next week we could
Buckle.
be coming with a special in-person podcast with Mr. Moses himself, but we will see if we can get that organized and created for you guys by the time that you see this next one. So, with that said, appreciate you guys all tuning in, and we will catch you at the next one.
For real, for real. Peace.